I'm going to show you a simple modification that you can make to any bike to make it more efficient, ride smoother, and increase your bearing life. Wheel balancing. I'm also going to explain why wheels don't come pre-balanced. The answer will probably surprise you, and show you how you can balance tubed setups and also tubeless. So first, what is an unbalanced wheel? Well, it's a wheel with a heavy spot, which we can show with the bike in the stand. So this wheel is not balanced, and as a consequence, it will always rotate to its heaviest point, which is usually, most of the time, at the valve or near the valve. In contrast, a wheel that has been balanced will stay in the same place regardless of where you put it, because it's balanced. However, note that it's harder to find the heavy spot in a tubeless setup, and that is because irrespective of where you position the wheel, the sealant will flow down to the bottom and create a heavy spot, and therefore help the wheel stay in place regardless of where you've put it. So if you are trying to find the heavy spot in a tubeless wheel, you need to remove the sealant. But why does any of this matter? Well, if I spin the wheel in the stand, you'll be able to see. So what you get is the whole bike starting to shake at particular speeds, and that's because the load is not evenly distributed around the wheel, which causes oscillations, and this leads to vibrations, and these can also harmonize at particular speeds with other oscillations and vibrations, well, this can create speed wobbles while you're riding along, but it also puts more stress on your bearings and will cause them to wear out quicker. By contrast, if I demonstrate this with a balanced wheel, you can see that it's much smoother. There is far less vibration and shaking happening on the bike. And if you go and ride this outside in the real world, because a stand isn't the real world, it feels absolutely great. Your bike does feel a lot smoother and a lot nicer to ride. But do you need to absolutely do this? No, of course you don't. I've been riding without balanced wheels most of my life, and I've completed lots of crazy ultra-endurance rides without balanced wheels. There will be people who've won the Tour de France without balanced wheels. That said, it does feel absolutely great, and lots of people are into the idea of optimizing their bike in lots of ways, whether it's tire pressure, sorting out their drivetrain, waxing their chain, ceramic bearings, all that stuff. And if I want my bike to be optimized and feel as good as it can possibly feel, well, yeah, I want to balance my wheels, because having now tried it, it feels absolutely great. And, well, it's a relatively cost-effective marginal gain when you compare it to, say, something like an oversized pulley wheel system. Something I'd love to try in the future, though, is to take some balanced and unbalanced wheels and ride them on the efficiency rig they have at the Silverstone Sports Engineering Hub, because I feel that is somewhere where you would see if it's more efficient or not. But if that's something you'd like to see, make sure you like this video and comment down below, and we'll try and make that happen in the future. But with that said, I'm now going to show you how to do it. Now, the first thing you need to be aware of is that most wheels don't come balanced. And there's a good reason for that. It's the same reason why car wheels and motorbike wheels don't come balanced. And that's because when you put a tire on it and an inner tube or sealant, it's going to offset the balance regardless of what it is. So when you have your car wheels, as soon as you have your tires changed at the shop, they balance the wheels before they give you the car back. That's often a legal requirement in many countries. Now, there are some bike brands out there that claim that their wheels are balanced, and they probably are balanced, but it's irrelevant because they don't know what tire or tube you're going to use, what valve length you're going to use, as soon as you do that, it's going to offset it. To balance the wheel, you're going to first, as I mentioned, have to find the heaviest point with the tire fitted. Now, that's easy to do with this front wheel. We can find the heaviest point. It's around where that 45 SL sticker is. So we know that's where it is. The next thing you're going to want to do is find some counterweights. Now, you're going to apply counterweights opposite to where the heaviest point is, and you have to use a bit of trial and error. Now, as for the counterweights you use, you've got a number of different options. You can buy some lead tape, which is quite nice, and you can apply that hidden on the inside of the wheel, or you can use some golf club weights, quite a popular option, but they can be quite unsightly, especially if you attach them to the rim, although that might not bother you. Or alternatively, there are some wheel balancing kits available. In the past, Silca have made one, Mieke have made one, was it Miche? They used to make one, I'm not sure if they still do. The one I've got here, they haven't sponsored the video, but it's one that I was able to find online, is from a French company called Legend Wheels. So that's the one I'm going to be using today. The other thing I should quickly point out is that a lot of the people, roadies and weight weenies, are going to go, oh my God, I'm going to add weight to my wheels that I spent a fortune on because they're light. Don't worry, calm yourself down. Typically only adding within the region of like 1 to 5 grams on most wheels. Maybe it's going to be 10 grams if you've got a really unbalanced wheel, but generally speaking, it's not much at all. So I'm going to balance the back one first. Now, when you balance your wheel, the first thing you would want to do is to balance it with the tyre and the inner tube that you're going to use. This wheel is set up tubeless, so what I'm actually going to do as a first step is take the wheel out, and I'm going to clean out the old sealant that's in here. I'm going to put some fresh sealant in, but I'm going to balance the wheel just with the tyre and the rim tape, but not with the sealant. Now, to find the heavy spot in the wheel, I'm using a wheel truing stand to just hold the wheel, but you can just do this in your bike, either in a bike stand or turn your bike upside down if you really want to. And then I'm just going to let the wheel rotate, and you can see it's falling now. It's where this 45 sticker is with the valve about that 3 o'clock position. I'll just double check that by moving it into another place. So that was where it was before. And we can see it's falling again. And that confirms it for me. That is our heavy spot just here. So what we're now going to do is apply a counterweight to that, opposite to where the heavy spot is. Now, there's a number of different ways you can do this. This wheel balancing kit makes life pretty easy because I'm going to apply some weight to the opposite side of that here on the outside of the wheel. And then what you're doing here is a bit of trial and error. I'm then going to add a couple of grams. I know that these are about a gram each of weight just on these spokes at the opposite side. And we're going to see if that balances it. I don't think it's going to take much with this particular wheel. It's pretty well balanced out the box. Still moving, not quite balanced, but it's better than it was. That's pretty good. Now at this point, what you can do is actually leave weights on the outside of the wheel. These ones aren't designed to be left on the outside, but if you had some golf club weights that's like the sort of lead tape, you could leave it there. But it is unsightly and it is going to interfere with the aerodynamics of your fancy wheels, if you've got fancy wheels. So what I'm going to do is first make sure that I've got the weight distribution right and the wheel is balanced with a bit more trial and error. And then I'm going to transfer the weight that I've got temporarily on the outside of the rim to the inside of the rim, where it will be hidden, and it will just make the wheel look a lot nicer. So I'm going to now whip off the tyre again, and I'm going to put these little nice hidden internal weights on the inside in the spoke holes, and then I can remove these temporary ones off the outside. And well, job's a good one, should be good. Top tip though, the position of the tyre is crucial because the weight distribution of the tyre is not necessarily uniform. It can affect the weight balance of the wheel. So the tyre needs to be taken off and put back on in the same position as it was when you weighted the wheel. So this should be easy. The easy hack to do this is to what you should do anyway, which is always nicely line up the logo of the tyre with the valve. Easy peasy. And if it's directional, make sure it's in the right direction. Because I'm setting these wheels up tubeless, I'm installing these little weights underneath the rim tape. And the nice thing about these ones is As I said, they do go just slot into these spoke holes here, and then I'm going to just rim tape back over them. I'm also being careful that my rim tape starts and finishes in the same place as it was on before. So I'm using some fresh rim tape. But again, having the rim tape in a different place or a different amount of rim tape can again upset the weight balance of your wheels. So make sure you're careful and make a note of that. So I've put the tyre back on and retaped the rim inside and removed the weights. The stickers I've left on here to show where the weights that I've hidden inside the rim are. So we've got 2 grams here, 1 gram here. And now the wheel is perfectly balanced. Irrespective of where I leave it, it stays put. It doesn't move, which is very satisfying. It's set up tubeless, and I haven't put sealant in yet. And the reason is because you can't check that it's balanced with sealant in it, because as mentioned, it will just roll down to the bottom and create its own heavy spot. This won't matter once the wheel is actually on the bike and spinning, because the centrifugal force will force all of the sealant to evenly distribute around the wheel, and it'll be okay. However, when your sealant does eventually go off, it'll often form a clump in one particular point on the tyre and form a heavy spot, at which point then you would have to change it, clean it out and recalibrate the wheel potentially. That considered, balancing wheels, although it is a great performance gain, it's not as good for tubeless systems, although you can do it, as I'm showing here, as it is for a tube system. Your life is going to be easier with a tube system, so just bear that in mind. But now I know that the wheel is properly balanced and calibrated, I'm going to put some sealant into it, and I'm going to use the new Silca Ultimate sealant, which is better than the old one, because this one is now been improved so that you can inject it through the valve core, whereas the previous Silca sealant, phenomenal at clotting and blocking up holes in your tyre, but was so potent that you had to pour it in the side of the tyre with it not fully seated. So we'll do that now. Dedicated syringe like this really is the elite method of getting in your sealant into your tubeless system. I'm using 35 mils of sealant for those that are interested. You can use more. If I was going for like a big full-on like endurance setup, I'd use more. If I was going for pure performance, I'd probably use as little as 20 mil. Put the valve core back in, tighten it with the valve core tool, pump this up. So to show what I was talking about, now it's got sealant in it, it appears not balanced in the stand. It's moving, you see? But when it's spinning on the bike, it will be. So there you go. We've balanced the wheel and reduced that vibration and that shaking that was occurring before. It's something that's incredibly satisfying to do. And it's not just a trick for the stand. Like when you go and ride a bike outside that has the wheels balanced, particularly if you're on a nice, smooth descent, it feels brilliant. So I would, definitely recommend it if you want to optimize your bike. Although I do want to, really stress, this isn't something that you absolutely have to do. It's just if you do want to make your bike feel great, it's a good thing to do. So I hope you found this video useful and it helps you balance your own wheels at home if that's something you want to do. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.